What's good? Cyrus here, stuck in the middle. Twitter's top lawyer, Vijaya Gati, reassures staff and she cries during a meeting about Elon Musk takeover. And I do think that there will be a lot of jobs lost and slashed. It's not something that I take joy in seeing and hearing. So for the part of about this that covers the uncertainty surrounding somebody's employment, I'm not here to take joy in anybody losing their job. And it's just speculation, so I don't know what's going to happen. But when I look and see Twitter has 5, 6, 7,000 employees, they don't. Elon, I know Elon pretty well from following him afar. He ain't going to have a Twitter platform with 7,000 employees. That's for damn sure. You don't need that many employees. So I think they're going to be replaced. And then even beyond that, Twitter had to lock down access to the services to make changes so the employees didn't go in and do some crazy stuff. So you have a bunch of activists that work for the company, and that's fine. There's nothing illegal about that. But now there's a new sheriff in town. Now there's a new boss. You report to somebody new now, and that activism doesn't match his, whether you agree or not. And that's where the tears come. Instead of taking a leadership position and saying, hey, this is how you can succeed in finding a new job or whatever it is, Vijaya Gati used this opportunity, reportedly, there's no video, as an opportunity to let out emotions. There's nothing right or wrong about that, but when the emotions come to the censorship, that's when I have a concern. Via the Politico.com, it's a great website. Monday was an emotional day at Twitter, even for its executives. Shortly after billionaire Elon Musk bought the powerful social media platform, top Twitter lawyer Vijaya Gati, and the only reason I know how to pronounce that, I think I'm pretty confident on it, is because of the infamous Tim Poole, Joe Rogan sit down that has 7.2 million views, was a great conversation. And it's something that we don't do anymore. I don't see it anymore. You had Jack Dorsey, Vijaya Gati, Tim Poole, and Joe Rogan all in the same room talking and hashing it out. It seems like it was a different planet, much less time era. The before times does not describe it enough. It seems like it was a different dimension times. I'll play a couple clips from that after I go through this article here. She called a virtual meeting with the policy and legal teams that she oversees, to discuss what the new ownership could mean for them. New ownership, when I've been in companies, when times get crazy, it can be a moment for opportunity, for your career advancement, for opportunities you didn't even know about. Gati cried during the meeting as she expressed concerns about how the company could change, according to 3 people familiar with the meeting. She acknowledged that there are significant uncertainties about what the company will look like under Musk's leadership. Sources confirmed that she spoke at length about how she's proud of the work her team has done and offered employees encouragement, urging them to keep striving to do good work at the company. She's been there since 2011. She's a key executive. That just makes it, she's the lawyer or a key executive charged with overseeing Twitter's trust and safety, legal and public policy functions. She's at the heart of all these concerns, whatever side you land on. She's at the heart of these concerns. She is seen internally as Twitter's moral authority and the executive tasked with handling sensitive issues like harassment and dangerous speech. Gati played a leading role in negotiating the deal between Twitter and Musk. Not only that, she played a leading role in banning former President Donald Trump. She has shepherded Twitter through some of its most contentious political battles, including the decisions to remove all political advertising and to boot former President Donald Trump from the platform in the wake of the J6 attack on Capitol Hill, a position that has earned her devoted fans within Twitter users, and just in the media in general, as well as a large contingent of right-wing critics. When all of this is said and done, a lot of the angst right now, again, lies with this anti-populist right, anti-MAGA movement. They're saying it. They're scared Trump's going to come back on. Trump himself said, I'm not going to come back on. I think he will, but it's everything. Everything comes down to that. At what point, for you people who agree with this and Trump getting banned and all that, at what point do you just say, damn it, let me focus on something else? It always comes down to this. That's what's going on with DeSantis. They're like, he's the next Trump. It's everything is going back to Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, MAGA this, MAGA that. You're in something that's just focusing on target instead of positions. She doesn't have a position other than populist squash. That's what this is about when you say you're gonna stop doing all political advertising. Now, obviously, when you do political advertising, people who have money get an advantage. But when you do no political advertising, you get to squash anybody who could rise up, like Elon Musk bought Twitter. If you allow political advertising, Elon Musk could get into politics and buy ads. It's a way to keep everything under control, and we feed everything through these major outlets. Twitter just makes it too easy for anyone to buy in on there and get it. Now, you can do political ads and then tweet them, so you can get some momentum that way, but you can't promote them to get more momentum. A lot of people would do that. At the end of the day, Elon's purchased the platform. It will be a shift. And you can see that there is activism at the company. And Elon Musk is going to have a challenge to root that activism out. So people were like, they're grateful for her leadership. Vijaya Gati, Twitter's Spain head of public policy, said that. Many progressives have raised deep concerns regarding Musk's move to buy Twitter. The billionaire entrepreneur has used the platform to attack people, often launching childish broadsides against anyone he doesn't like or agree with. And he's regularly rallied a Twitter mob of loyal fans to follow his lead with more vicious threats and bullying. So why didn't you focus on, if that's the case, I'm not admitting that that's accurate, because I just did the video on Taylor Lorenz and Tim Poole, and Taylor Lorenz called Tim Poole buying a billboard in Times Square violence, but she's not participating in violence. So I don't need to hear this. We don't have any trust anymore in each other. When you say that there's vicious threats, I don't trust you. When you say there's bullying, I don't trust you. I don't believe you. Those words don't mean the same thing to us. But at the end of the day, he bought Twitter, and he's going to usher in a new company, a new era. Remember the private company argument? That's what this means. This happened. It's unbelievable. I can't believe this really happened. This right here really did go down. I'm going to play the start of it just to show how awkward it was at first and how surreal it was. The beginning of this interview captured the moment. Like, they knew they were in a big moment. I don't even think they knew how big it was going to be, that if they would look 3 years down the road, that this moment could never happen again. Joe Rogan, they tried to politically, take out Joe Rogan business-wise, and he gained 2 million subs in the process. You only gave him more exposure. Same with lives with TikTok. But Twitter and others using Twitter tried to take out Joe Rogan, and they sat down Jack Dorsey and Vijaya Gati sat down with Joe Rogan, and they weren't ready for Tim Poole. This is one of the things that blew Tim Poole up. I didn't find out about him till afterwards, really. Or, it's weird. I might have found out about him from this video, way after the fact in 2020. So a couple years after it happened, Tim Poole was ready for the moment. This video has 7.2 million views. It has it for a reason. Great stuff. So
5, 4, 3. Dos, uno. Come on, TriCaster.
Here it comes.
Live? All right. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. To my left, Tim Poole. Everybody knows and loves him. Vija, what is it? How do I pronounce your last name?
Vija Gati.
Vija, not Vija, Vija.
Yes.
Vija
Gati.
And your position at Twitter is?
I lead trust and safety, legal, and public policy.
That's a lot. And Jack Dorsey, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you everybody for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Feels all of a sudden there's tension in the room. We're all loose. We're all loosey goosey just a few minutes ago.
Tension.
Joe Rogan is so good. He's one of the best at just interviewing in general, but he captures the energy of people and he plays off of it. And he wanted them to loosen up. And he's probably being serious. Like right before the cameras went on, we were all cool. And then now we know the serious of this moment. This is the lawyer that I was talking about in the political article. This is the lawyer.
And everyone's like, oh, this is really happening. Here we go. Before we get started, we should say, because there were some things that people wanted to have us talk about. One, that the Cash App is one of the sponsors of the podcast. It's been a sponsor for a long time, and also a giant supporter.
One of the reasons I wanted to play this was also the tension and how the monumental moment. I'm going to play a clip later on in a second. The reason why I wanted to play this too was look at the integrity here. Like, when do you see on other outlets? This is just Joe Rogan at the time. He was just on YouTube, I believe, right? And then maybe was he podcast? I didn't really follow him that much. I do follow him now on Spotify a lot. But they say, well, before we start, let me disclose I have this stock, and it's like, wait a second. There's a lot of conflict of interest out here, including Dr. Beagle that we all know and maybe don't love. They don't talk about, well, just to be clear, I have this patent or I'm in on this. They don't even talk about it. And you can see how, like, well, before the people in the comments all get at me, let me disclose my, what you might think a conflict of interest would be. And these are the ones that they don't want you to trust. Who is disclosing conflict of interest like this? Sometimes you'll see in articles on the way bottom. But I love this, though.
Of my good friend Justin Wren's Fight for the Forgotten Charity, building wells for the pygmies in the Congo. This is very important to me, and I'm very happy that you guys are a part of that, and you are connected to that. It's easy for someone to say that doesn't have an influence on the way we discuss things, but it doesn't. So if it does, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm going to mention, too, just because I don't want people to come out and freak out later, I actually have like 80 shares in Square, which isn't really that much, but
it's something.
It is. So I don't want people to think, whatever. You're the CEO of Square, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
there you go.
We on the Cash App. So.
And the reason why we decided to come together is we had I thought, a great conversation last.
Just bringing people together. And then let me play this clip here from it. Where they talk about Tim Poole is saying, hey, you have a bias. And she can't even admit it.
And I believe that to be the case.
So your platform restricts speech.
Our platform promotes speech unless people violate our rules.
And in a specific direction.
That's a funny way of saying your platform restricts speech. And why hesitate to acknowledge that? That's what she is a lawyer. So she said, yes, she's thinking in her head, yes, we do, but let me reframe it. That's why you see all these lawyers in D.C., because that's their job. All they do is lie and reframe.
And I believe that to be the case.
So Your platform restricts speech.
Our platform promotes speech unless people violate our rules
And in a specific direction.
in any direction.
But I don't want to say his name. The guy who calls for death gets a suspension. The guy who insinuates death gets a permanent ban.
But Tim, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying, and I feel like you're doing it deliberately. It's not about one particular.
She didn't even answer the question. She just completely ignored his point there. It's obviously not consistent, and that's within your terms and agreement. It doesn't have to be a consistent. Just admit it. That's the problem we have now, because now you're literally crying. Elon Musk bought the company, and no one has any sympathy for the tears. You want to know why things are so vicious? You've got to acknowledge the truth. It's okay. We already know it. It's not even a big deal.
Thing. It's about a pattern and practice of violating
and
our
you
rules.
have a pattern and practice of banning only one faction of people.
I don't agree with that.
Recently published an article where they looked at 22 high-profile bannings from 2015 and found 21 of them were only on one side of the cultural debate.
But I don't look at the political spectrum of people when I'm looking at their tweets.
Right, you have a bias.
I don't know who they are.
You're biased, and you're targeting specific individuals because your rules support this perspective.
You don't have to look at a person. If you have a natural bias, you don't need to look at a person's profile or history or where they stand. When you moderate, you're going to moderate with your bias.
Perspective.
No, I don't agree with that.
Well,
so
can you be clear though in like what rules support that perspective?
Specifically, the easiest one is misgendering, right? Because that's so.
People said Jack was. I let me not do people. I said Jack was kind of lost during this interview, but I watched it again. And Jack, he was lost. Don't get me wrong. Like he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He didn't know at this time what the hell was going on with Twitter. But he was important to have in this conversation because he redirected it. They had the clash, and Joe didn't even have to do it. Jack redirected it. I think there was some honest, I want to do better in Jack. There really was.
So clearly ideological. If you ask a conservative, what is misgendering? They'll say if someone is biologically male and you call them, she, biologically male and you call them a she, that's misgendering. That's a conservative view. The progressive view is inverted. So now you actually have in your policies a rule against the conservative perspective.
I have a rule against the abuse.
That's absolutely facts. Tim's not even taking a side. He's just saying if you don't allow both, then you've taken a side. That's all we're trying to say. We have to find common ground and then go forward and say, is that the right thing? Is that the wrong thing?
Abuse and harassment of trans people on our platform. That's what my rules
Can we just give context in the background as to
why that is? And I brought some research. So
this is a very important clip. This is why, in my opinion, they got rid of Babylon Bee.
We obviously received a lot of feedback. So we don't make these rules in a vacuum, just to be clear. We have a bunch of people all around the world who give us context on the types of behavior they're seeing, how that translates into real world harm. And they give us feedback. And they tell us, you should consider different types of rules, different types of perspectives, for example, when we try to enforce hateful conduct in our hateful conduct policy in a particular country, we're not going to know all the slur words that are used to target people of a particular race or a particular religion. So we're going to rely on building out a team of experts all around the world who are going to help us enforce our rules. So in the particular case of misgendering, I'm just trying to pull up.
The beautiful thing about long-form podcasts, they don't have to rush to a commercial break. Tim did a great job. He didn't interrupt. Joe didn't interrupt. You can go as long as you need to. We're here for 3 hours. Get comfortable, have an answer, and a retort. That's why I want to see more politicians go on these long-form podcasts.
Some of the studies that we looked at, but we looked at the American Association of Pediatrics and looked at the number of transgender youths that were committing suicide. It's an astronomical, I'm sorry, I can't find it right now in front of me. It's a really, really high statistic that's 10 times what the normal suicide rate is of normal teenagers. And we looked at the causes of what that was happening. And a lot of it was not just violence towards those individuals, but it was bullying behavior. And what were those bullying behaviors that were contributing to that? And that's why we made this rule, because we thought and we believe that those types of behaviors were happening on our platform, and we wanted to stop it. Now, there are exceptions to this rule. We don't, and this isn't about like public figures, and there's always going to be public figures that you're going to want to talk about, and that's fine. But this is about, are you doing something with the intention of abusing and harassing a trans person on the platform, and are they viewing it that way and reporting it to us so that we take action?
So
do you see that? The end piece is where the problem comes. All of it sounds great. Who's going to argue against you? You hate to see anybody do, ultimately take their own, living opposite of living. The problem at the end is, she said it. It's like whatever they interpret it as. What does that mean? You can interpret anything as anything you want. You can interpret this video as that, as milquetoast as it is.
On the platform, and are they viewing it that way and reporting it to us so that we take action?
So I'm not going to relive the whole video there. Check it out. Just Google Tim Poole, Joe Rogan, classic, 7.2 million views. I wish there was a way that we could find some common ground. Maybe there is. Let me know what you think. Take care.